Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of See You Next Thursday. We are going to be talking about some quite middle-class topics today. So we're going to talk about traveling in style, as Jennie did recently, and then we'll move away from the traveling and we'll talk about just some awkward moments, mainly surrounding Jennie's experiences of breastfeeding in public, as you do. I don't know what I can add for that, but yeah, that's fine.
Thanks, Rob. What an intro. I don't know. You can weigh in on the whole breastfeeding.
Yeah, maybe.
As a male. So
try not to say something to annoy Chi too much, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I came back from a short little trip to Hong Kong, literally 4 days ago. So I'm still getting over the jet lag. And for the first time ever, I flew business class.
Ooh, fancy.
Very bougie. Yeah, man. This is the sort of person I am now.
Yeah.
That's not. So the reason for me to go into Hong Kong is just for some sort of personal ID stuff. I worked with my sister, mum, and brought Lara with me. It was Lara's first flight ever, and she had to obviously fly in style, which was business class for like a 6-month-old. Not that she's gonna remember any of it. So it was like a week long. But originally, the sort of backstory is I wasn't gonna go with my mum and sister because of Lara's passport. I didn't know how long it would take to get it done. It says like up to 10 weeks or whatever it was. So I was like, there's no chance I'm gonna go with them. But anyways, we got the passport within the month, and my sister and mum had already booked the flights, and they had booked premium economy. So when I went to check economy flights, pretty much the seats were all taken. And because when you're traveling with a baby, you want like ideally like a bassinet, like the baby sort of bed. So I looked at premium economy, and then it was more expensive than business class, which is mad. So I thought I was looking, I was like, what? I was like, I kept like refreshing the page. I'm like, this can't be right. But anyways, ended up being business was cheaper than premium economy, which doesn't make sense anyways. We were flying with Cathay Pacific. And then anyways, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Just go business, because why not? It was cheaper. Yeah. So I did it, make sure like everything was confirmed. I'm like, okay, this is definitely right. Anyways, and the experience itself was interesting because obviously I didn't know this before, but you get to like go to the lounge before you actually go to your gate and whatnot. So I went to the lounge, and you kind of expect, not that I've been to a lounge before, but on YouTube, like you watch people like talk about flying like business class, and then you like check out what what sort of food you can get at lounge. But this one was at Heathrow, and it wasn't that fancy. Like, I was messaging Rob at the time. I'm like, this is a lounge? Like the coffee machine was broken. There was no glasses, no cutlery. And
I mean, you're half expecting to walk into like pure luxury. I don't know what you think at least the coffee machine's working, right?
Yeah, as a standard. It was quite early in the morning that we got there, hoping that we can make use of the lounge. When we actually queued up before we actually went in, there's like a little concierge there, and there was a man who clearly was flying first class, and then he was told by the receptionist woman that he would have to wait 20 minutes for sort of like food service. Because if you're first class, then you get like, in person, so like someone serving you food, whereas business class, you just help yourself. And then the guy was not happy. He was like, okay. So he ended up sort of slumming it in business class with us in the lounge instead of like first class. And by that, I thought, okay, that's a bit of a red flag. Like first class members they have to wait 20 minutes for their food. So I'm like, oh great, what's gonna be like business? So yeah, we got there, got a table. You can see all these people like on their laptops working away. And then there's me with my baby, and my mom and my sister. We just kind of found a long table, and it was right in the center where you can like order food from like the sort of noodle bar. But then the coffee machine was right behind us, and it was broken, and there was no coffee beans, and there was only 2 waitresses that entire place where there's loads of people, right? I'm like, Jesus, I could have just gone to didn't need to go to the lounge. Anyways, the food was all right. It was like, it wasn't much really. It's just like your standard sort of like beans, scrambled eggs. Hash brown was like in the posh sort of like long stick thing instead of like the triangle.
Really?
Yeah. But I took a photo. I literally had a plate and 1 hash brown because there was nothing else that I fancied eating. And then they had like this posh sort of yogurt and experience was all right. But because I think I was conscious, I had like a 6-month-old with me and I was breastfeeding her.
Mm.
And I just felt like, oh gosh, she could kick off any moment and disturb and disrupt the sort of peace of the business class lounge. But
The
luckily, I
ritual.
mean, yeah, I mean, it was fine in the end. It was, it was an interesting experience. And then obviously when you're done with the lounge, you can just go to your gate and whatnot. And because I think it helps traveling with a baby, we get priority first, so you get fast tracked onto the plane. So they're like, okay, come. I just thought initially it's because we're business class. They're like, come here, come. We're like, no, it's because I've got a stroller and the baby, and there were other babies waiting to go in the plane as well. But the business class is pretty cool. It's pretty sick because you get your own little pod, your bed. I can see your face. You're like, all right.
Yeah, show off. Come on.
This is the only time I'm going to fly business class, man. The seat you can put it right flat, so it's like a bed. But if I'm honest, like Lara sat in it more than I did.
Yeah.
Because she was obviously up for quite a lot, so I just sat her in it. She was lying on it. I was like, oh, okay, you look comfortable. And you have your own little sort of TV and everything, and it was good service. Like you had because when you're on your plane, economy or premium economy, you just literally have one tray with like your main meal, your dessert, bread, butter, whatever.
Yeah, and you try not to spill it everywhere with your knees hitting the tray. Yeah.
Especially with you being so tall.
Oh, yeah.
So with business class, you obviously get so much space, but they serve you 3 meals like separately. They like give it to you. So your starter, your main, the dessert. Right. And you get fancy plates and actual cutlery, not the sort of plastic shit. So it's good service. So
was the food good? What was the food like? Was it worth it?
So we all pre-ordered the vegetarian option. You can get like loads of different options, but there was like a menu as well. It's pretty decent. People like getting like beef sirloin or something, like steak or something like that. Whatever it was. Sirloin. Sirloin. What did I say?
Sirloin. It's a new cut.
So really a veggie, I don't know.
Yeah, it's classic vegetarian.
Okay, the steak option, whatever.
Yeah.
And then obviously you get chicken. Yeah, I was looking up because the pod is kind of discreet. There's like you've got a backrest and it kind of covers the sides. But me being me, I was really nosy. I was trying to see on either side of me like what the others were eating, and they had obviously the meat options, and a lot of people were drinking champagne because it's all unlimited in it. I was like, wow.
You don't drink. Oh, God.
I know, so it's wasted on me.
So you kind of have to be an alcoholic to make the most of it, really.
Pretty much, yeah. Because as soon as you get there, they'll give you like a hot towel, blah blah blah, and then you get like unlimited drinks, and you just get served drinks and snacks. And even the snacks are posh. Like halfway through the flight, sometimes you just don't want to sleep. And you have some people can just walk to the little gallery bit or galley, whatever it's called, and you can help yourself to snacks. And it's just box standard like peanuts and stuff. But business class is like fancy sort of big packs of like popcorn and other posh stuff that I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice. But yeah, food wise for veggie, it's all right. It's not bad. Just plain food, isn't it?
Yeah. So would you ever go business class again? Was it worth the money, would you say?
Do you know what? I think I'm a bit of a business class bitch now.
Yeah. Nice. First class next. Only way up.
Yeah, do you know, I tried to look at first class, just like a little peek, but I couldn't even see an option for it. And so I said, apparently they don't allow kids or babies on first class. Me. Yeah, because you just literally, I think when we walked past first class, it was literally just 4 seats and that was it. So it wasn't that many. But business class, there were a lot more. But yeah, I think on the way back, we traveled premium economy because I was really desperate to try and find some business class tickets back because I thought it's just so much easier with having like Lara with me and I don't have to worry about anything because it's just so secluded. And even if she screamed, I don't think anyone would have heard her because it's literally everyone is in their own little pod. So yeah, I think it makes sense to travel business class and I get why people do it. But it's hard now to kind of go back to economy now that I've flown business.
Yeah, I mean, economy is just one of those things you have to do, isn't it? Like, because I recently went to Singapore and Vietnam and Malaysia, but on the way there we went to Vietnam first, but we had to stop via Singapore. So the flight there it was just economy. And do you know what? The leg room wasn't too bad. The whole long haul flights in economy isn't that bad. It's the short haul ones that are a nightmare, but this wasn't too bad. But obviously, this one we had Harry, who's like 20 months old at the time. He's big. He's like the average height of like a 2.5-year-old, nearly 3-year-old. So he doesn't have his own seat. He had to sit on Cheech the whole way, pretty much.
Yeah.
Thank God the seat next to us was free. So
Right.
there was no one on that seat the whole way, and the woman next to that, she had like a really small baby, so baby
Right.
was just on her the entire time. We're in the bassinet. So yeah, we could sort of just spread him out. So the flight there was actually okay. Then when he did wake up, iPad on, easy, just distracting. He wanted to run up and down a bit, which is a bit annoying sometimes because we were right next to the kitchen bit. So every time we ran in, the staff were like, "Oh, sorry, sir, do you mind taking him out?" And we were like, "Get the fucking child, please!" Like boiling water everywhere. These food trays going everywhere. But obviously they were polite about it, so that's good. And they were like, "Harry, Harry." By the end of it, they knew his name.
Oh.
Celebrity on the plane. But yeah,
you should have been like, "Oh, could you bump us up to business class then?"
Well, we did look. When did we look? I think Cheech looked on the way there. I think even first class was like 1,400 quid each, and I'm like, that sounds like it's a lot, but it's not bad.
That's actually not bad.
I don't really want to fork out nearly £3,000 though, just for one flight, and that's just one. That's a single. That's not even a return. So pretty about £6,000. But maybe one day when I'm old and retired and Harry's rich and he can pay for us his private jet. But then when we got to Singapore, we had to fly to Vietnam, and I don't know if you've flown an internal flight in Asia before. Oh my god! Well, it's not internal technically, but it's the short haul, like Ryanair version of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, leg room is a joke. Like I can't put my knees straight. I'm tall, right? I'm not a normal height guy. I'm like 6'4", version 6'5". So like and obviously everyone in Asia, average height is probably about 5'8" for a bloke. They're fat.
Yeah.
So I'm like squeezing out, Harry on my lap, Chi next to me, the bags above us, someone's next to us as well.
Oh god.
I'm like, it's just torture. But then luckily that's only like a 3-hour flight.
Oh god.
You just see the guys at the front of the leg room.
Yeah.
I just pay like an extra 20 quid for this leg room.
Yeah.
But they don't let kids in those seats because it's like an emergency exit. So
that's annoying. But don't they have like priority seats?
Yeah, they're right at the front, but they're like technically like the more expensive seats. And they do have legroom seats, but they're next to the emergency doors, which kids aren't allowed to sit on. Apparently, when a plane's crashing, a baby's going to stop you from dying. Because you're not going to be able to. It's not going to help you either way. But
no.
But yeah, no, it was fine. But in total, we had 7 flights, including the ones back from London.
How did you manage? Like you're traveling with a toddler. That's intense.
Yeah, I made all the bags, which are heavy, proper heavy. We made it though. The 7th flight was a bit of relief though. And we were like you, I was just pay a bit extra. But nah, it was an overnight flight on the way back. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, how was the rest of Hong Kong when you got there? Did you enjoy it?
I think the toughest thing was for Lara because obviously she had to deal with the jet lag. The first 3 nights it was a bit of a nightmare for her because she just couldn't understand. Like she was tired, she was overtired, but she couldn't sleep, screaming her head off in the hotel. My room was right next to my mum and sisters because mum and sister shared a room, so I was right next door to them. So it's like you can open the door and go right next door to their room.
So creepy.
It is a little bit creepy, but they didn't really have much sleep because Lara was crying. But Hong Kong itself is it's different. I haven't been back in like well over like 5 years. I think COVID was like 3 years, and Hong Kong and China only recently lifted their quarantining because before you would still have to do like PCRs and lateral flows and then you have to quarantine for 7 days or however long. They only really recently lifted it, and so that's why everyone was rushing back to it. Still as busy and chaotic as it was before. And I think with people that live in Hong Kong, man, they're on another level of stress. Like everything has to be a rush. Like from the way that they walk is like a rush. And when you're in the UK, you're used to a bit more sort of a calmer environment. You take your time. There's a lot more space, but in Hong Kong, everything's just crammed, and I just felt really like anxious and just stressed. So I had Lara in the carrier for most of the time. Like, there's no chance like us bringing a stroller out every day because it's not convenient. You're getting in people's way, and they get pissed off with you as well if you're like in their way. Just like in London, I suppose, if you're like getting the tube and you just want to get to your destination.
Yeah, I guess in London, they'll just keep it under their breath, whereas in Hong Kong, I imagine they're pretty vocal about it. Yeah,
man, they're so rude as well. They would just make it really obvious, and I just didn't like it. I definitely can't imagine myself living in Hong Kong. Sai doesn't like Hong Kong. He just thinks it's just too like he doesn't like cities in general, but Hong Kong in general, it's too stressful. But from that point of view, I think I really like Hong Kong because they're efficient. Like you have like these 24-hour shops, and there was a shop called Donkey, and it was literally right next door to our hotel, 24 hours selling all Japanese stuff from like salmon to sushi to like random sort of hair products, literally anything you can think of they would sell, and it's 24 hours. I was like, that's so cool. Like if you just need something, you literally pop down and get it. And one thing about I think Asia in general is they have like 7-Elevens. Like you had that right when you went to like Vietnam or whatnot.
Oh yeah, there's loads. Well, not in Vietnam, more Singapore, Malaysia. There's loads.
Did you ever visit any of them?
Yeah, I went to a few. They're a bit more pricey than sort of the local convenience stores, but they're just so handy.
So handy.
And all air conditioned.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
So good. I know. I don't know why we don't have it in the UK.
Because we've got Tesco's everywhere, haven't we? Tesco Express, Sainsbury's, the little ones, just everywhere. There's no point in opening, is there?
You can't microwave dim sum though.
True.
Yeah, 7-Eleven. I think it's a great idea. It's a great invention. Yeah, I think Hong Kong's definitely more advanced compared to the UK. Just simple things like going to the toilets, like auto flush. Like you don't, because obviously the whole COVID thing, everything's auto flush. Like you just hover your hand over it and then it just flushes. Even the ones like at the Hong Kong airport, you don't even need to do anything, and it kind of detects whether you've finished your business in the toilet, and it just flushes automatically. But sometimes you're like, actually, I haven't finished.
You're halfway there.
You yet. Yeah.
Underneath.
This is literally what happened when I came back on the way back home. I'm like trying to do a poo, and it flushed already. I'm like, whoa! So a bit too advanced for me. So I prefer just like the automatic stuff. And then the like lifts, so you don't have to press the button. You just hover over it, and then it opens up. Like that's really advanced.
They'll never do that in England though. It costs too much money.
Yeah.
Grimy, grubby. So that's all we got over here. Old style.
Yeah, it's a bit nasty. Well, so they had like pretty much every shopping center that we went to, there were these sort of like bots, these like robots that was sterilizing the place. That was spraying out some sort of stuff, and it just detects movement. So if you're in the way, it just dodges you. I think that's amazing. I went there, I was like, whoa, like they didn't have that 5 years ago, from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds very futuristic. You wouldn't be able to have that here. As soon as you set it off, you just get vandalized and probably thrown onto a train track or nicked for parts.
I know. Why do we do this?
Yeah, so it's lawless Europe. Then Hong Kong, I bet everyone's afraid of the government, so no one will set it wrong. Well, kind of, unless they're writing. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. Maybe you got a good point there. Because that's it. Everyone's just kind of just gets on with stuff, just cracks on. Like they just mind their own business. They don't really get involved, and I mean, obviously, they don't give a shit about tourists because they find tourists quite annoying.
Yeah.
But in a way, you kind of need tourists to help your economy, especially in the last 3 years when they shut the borders and no one could go in. So I'm pretty sure they're happy that people are coming back to Hong Kong to start, boosting their economy.
Just don't want the Brits. Don't mind everyone else. Just the Brits.
Yeah, the Larry Brits. But besides that, yeah, it's really cool. How was your trip? Because you didn't really talk about it because you went to like 3 different places.
Yeah, so started off in Vietnam. For those who don't know, my missus is from Birmingham, but her family's from Vietnam. So we started off seeing her family in a town called Haiphong, which is about 2 hours from Hanoi. It's about a 2-hour drive. Just saw family for like 3 days in total. It wasn't too long. It's probably enough.
Yeah.
Context, their family isn't like very rich, as in they're pretty poor, to be honest. They're not in like mud huts and shit. They're in actual houses. But they're really nice people. Like they're very welcoming. They'll constantly give you food, and I think I had a beer in front of me every second of the day. So I got beers, which is great. I just love drinking beers. Like, it's really nice. Sat on their little rooftop, listening to some like weird Vietnamese dance music. And then we played our music that we listened to over here, and they're just sitting there nodding their heads, not even batting an eyelid, just happy we're there.
Wait, your music is sort of like metal rock.
I didn't play any heavy metal. I kept it.
Okay, all right.
Because She's brother was there and he played his stuff as well, so it's kind of
okay.
And then they just really sound like we did a few day trips and things, just out and about, just go to restaurants, things like that. Went for a drink with his uncle, got pretty pissed there. So just a lot of drinking and eating, to be honest. It's pretty much what I do in London.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I was like, oh, this is actually, but it's like a fraction of the price it costs here. It's so
Yeah.
cheap over there. It's ridiculous. And one thing that happened when I went previously, it was about 6 years ago, and they were just so fascinated by me because they'd never seen like a white guy before.
The tall white
Just like,
guy.
yeah, like granddad had never seen a white guy, and like he's like touching my arms and my legs and shit. I was like, fair enough, I'm just gonna let you do it. But then this time when I went, and there's people in the street as well saying, oh, just looking, pointing at 2 meters, 2 meters in my height. But now it's completely different. Like I just didn't really feel like anyone was doing that. I don't know if they've just come more acclimatized to Westerners, or because there's a lot of kids there. We went to this shopping mall, brand new one they built, like really modern. There's just loads of kids there dressed up in like anime gear and all this stuff. And I thought, okay, maybe they're just moving on a bit, finally
Yeah.
caught
Yeah.
up. But yeah, no, that was good. And then we went into the capital, so Hanoi, and that was good. A cheese cousin lives there, so she took us out. We're there for a couple of days. Same sort of thing, really. Just eating and drinking.
Yeah.
Hotel, it's just so cheap, man. Like, you actually feel like you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
Like even a beer is like £1.50, £2. Like here, it's like now £7. Like, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, and after that, went down to Malaysia. Never been to Malaysia. Stayed in this very fancy hotel. It was like infinity pool. You can see the Petronas Towers in the background. It's like a view of everything. This hotel was like 50 quid a night or something ridiculous. If you ever wanted like a nice getaway city break, for like in a fancy hotel, go to Malaysia because you get money's worth definitely. Because you go out and about as well. Food's cheap. There's
Yeah.
like a big road with loads of street vendors and things like that, and it's super cheap and it's really hot as well. It's a bit, let's say, grimy. It's like so I'll go on to Singapore in a bit. If you, some people say it's like a poor Singapore.
Oh,
Poor
okay.
Singapore, play on words. And you kind of get why when you go to Singapore. So I've actually in Malaysia went to a little island called Langkawi after, and that was amazing. It's basically like it's just beaches and it's like a little resort, really, 5-star resort, fancy.
Yeah. Is that the one? I think I might have seen. I think you might have posted it. It's like a massive sort of house. Like
yeah, it's like a
pointed.
big wooden house hut things.
Yeah.
There's loads of them, and they
Is
drive
that
you.
your entire thing that you stayed there?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like a big
Wow.
resort thing, and they could drive you in caddies to each of your houses because it's quite a big thing. Um, but that was nice, man. That was so worth it. And it wasn't that cheap. Like it was a few hundred quid for a 5-star for like 4 days, and and everything's there you need. You can just go out and about in the little town, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's that little, but it's got everything you want. And
Yeah.
like the airport was really close, so you can just fly back down to Kuala Lumpur. So maybe for a little treat holiday, recommend that.
Yeah, like a little. It felt like a honeymoon destination.
Yeah, definitely. And there's like it's just full of Australians and Brits.
Really? Okay.
Like there's not many Asians there or anything, weirdly.
Yeah.
But yeah, then obviously after that we flew on to Singapore.
Yeah.
I've never been there either, and it's so nice there. It's just clean. Everything's clean.
Yeah, I keep hearing that.
Yeah, like we got a taxi there, and they were like, the taxi driver said, chewing gum isn't banned. You're just not allowed to be seen with it, almost. So like you can't buy it anywhere, basically.
Oh.
In Singapore. So he said, I bought a shitload from Vietnam and brought it back. I'm like, I could have just bought you some if you want.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it in the streets, so everything's clean. Like everything's nice. It's expensive. Not.
Yeah.
You can do it cheap though. We went to Chinatown and all these places and like street food vendors, and it's dirt cheap, really. You can eat cheap if you want, but you can do all the fancy bougie stuff if you want. Obviously, you got I can't remember what they're called now. The fancy hotel with the big curve. There's like a walkie-talkie. What's it called? Hotel in Singapore. What is it called? Marina Bay Sands. That's the one. So that's obviously the famous one. But we didn't stay there. We stayed. So that's the new one. But again, it had like an infinity pool and all this.
Yeah.
All the shit you really want in a hotel.
Yeah.
And
Did you go like all inclusive, or you just?
Nah. It was just a nice hotel. It was the most expensive hotel of the whole trip though. Those two nights cost more than the entire cost of Vietnam.
Oh,
and Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. So like 2 nights was equivalent of about 6 for the rest of it.
wow.
So it's definitely like a treat stop. You don't need longer than 2 or 3 days there, I'd say.
Okay.
But no, it's good. Even with Harry, that is good as well, because he's a bit of an age where he can kind of run about and do things.
Yeah.
Which is also annoying because that's all he wants to do.
Yeah.
So if you pick him up for too long, he gets really fucking frustrated. And he's like, just put me down, basically.
Yeah.
I can't, because it's like, we're in
Yeah.
Asia. Like,
Yeah.
don't want you ending up in bloody China on a black market.
Yeah. Absolutely not, man. Did you have the little dog lead on him at the time or not really?
Yeah, for a bit. But we just had the pram because we're doing so much walking.
Yeah.
But obviously, the pram sucked for him because in Singapore and Malaysia, it's like 32, 33, and it's humid.
Yeah.
And he's just basically sitting in this pram sweating. It's like a
Yeah.
sauna, and it's a black pram, so obviously it's just absorbing all the sun.
Yeah.
But he just fell asleep for most of it, which is good. When he's asleep,
Oh, that's good.
it's a treat.
Yeah. Did he struggle with the jet lag at all?
Not kind of, but then we didn't really struggle with jet lag. We just woke up at a weird time, and then once we were all up, He wasn't waking up different to us, luckily.
Wow, man.
He loved it, man. He's like, swimming pools are great for him because we don't really go swimming here because the one near us shut down. So so he was just like trying to doggy paddle, and occasionally just let him go just to see what he'd do. And he's like, oh shit, no, he's drowning. Get him back up.
Classic.
If anyone's judging you, like, why don't you throw your own son in the pool? But no, it's good though. I'd recommend going to Asia, but obviously like prepare, man. Like Cheech prepared so well for everything. She had every eventuality, everything possibility that could have gone wrong, or like something with Harry. It was there for us to do. So got to be prepared, man. I don't know if I do it with 2 kids. That could be a bit of a stretch.
What, traveling in Asia or just traveling in general?
Traveling in general. Maybe if you go like Spain or like wherever, like a little resort close by.
Yeah.
The flight alone is a killer. So maybe if the kids are a bit older, maybe like 8, 9 or 10, then you got to take them out of school, wouldn't you? So it'd be worth it.
So out of those 3 countries, could you see yourself moving there?
Singapore probably.
Yeah.
The only problem with Asia for me is time difference for football. This is a big problem for me because games are on at like 11 o'clock at night. So which is fine on a Saturday because I can just go out maybe and watch it. But like some of the games that are on later are like 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then some are like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
That would annoy me. But and she will hate me for saying that because I kept saying it. But,
I bet.
Yeah, but I did ask a taxi driver on the way back from the airport. I was like, "Oh, how much are these flats do you reckon?" And he said the ones that we were staying, you reckon probably about $5 million, which is about 3 million quid, or something like that. And then the ones even further out towards the airport, I was like, "Oh, is it nice? How much are they?" Probably about $1 million. Okay, won't be moving to Singapore then.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and you can't get visas easily in Singapore. Apparently, they don't let a lot of foreigners in anymore. I think there's too many.
Yeah.
So I did look at jobs there, but yeah, it was a pipe dream.
Maybe when you're older, you can retire there.
Maybe I'll probably just go to Cheech wants to retire to Vietnam down in the south on the beach, which I wouldn't mind doing, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just having a little beach bar, sports constantly on, so I can watch it at 4 a.m.
Yeah, done. Sorted.
Yeah, and she speaks the language, so it'd be easy.
Oh, that's handy. Oh, that must have been really handy then when you were in Vietnam.
Yeah, in the north, in her hometown it was, but I mean, her family will spoke for us, and she speaks to them. That's another funny thing about seeing the family. Obviously, they don't speak a word of English.
Yeah.
So I don't have to have any small talk with them. They just talk at me, and then I might get the odd translation. Her brother got fed up with it by the end of it. He was just like, I can't be asked to translate. Even he was struggling, and then she was like just ignoring it. So I was like, come on, like your uncle's talking at me here. What's he saying? Oh, he's just saying something like, "Are you gonna visit him?" or like, "Are you gonna come back?" Like, yeah. Just nod and smile. Yeah,
nod and smile. Oh, what about the food? Like, what was the food like?
Yeah, food was really good. It's kind of a lot of the same they make here. Like a family up north in Birmingham, it's the same sort of food they make, to be honest. So it's not anything I'm not used to.
Did you try anything unusual?
Yeah, it was like this. I don't know what it was. I think it was like a. It's black. It looked like ink. Only way I can describe it is like a gooey like thing, dessert thing. It tastes like bananas, and it's like a. It was wrapped in leaves, and then you unwrapped it, and it was like honestly just like a gooey black thing. And I was like, oh, this is the least appetizing thing I've ever seen. And they're like, try it, and I had a bite, and I was like, it's so sweet, but the texture was just.
Was it
I
like
can't.
jelly?
Kind of not. It wasn't jelly though.
No.
Nah, it wasn't.
No.
I'll get feedback on what that was because I'd never seen it,
Yeah.
never had it. It was nice, but then they were like, have another one because they'd made about 100 of them. So
Oh
I'm like,
God.
that's what they do. They just make things in bulk.
Yeah.
Like they made these banh mi, so the baguette things.
Oh my God. That must have been so good.
Yeah, it was good after like 2 of them, but then when they brought up another 6 or 7, come on, keep eating. I'm like, and here's another beer, another one.
Yeah.
The 9th beer, and it's only 11 a.m.
Yeah.
But no, they're just hospitable, aren't they? And
Yeah.
I've learned
Yeah.
to just say no because if you say yes, they'll just keep going. So you just have to
Yeah.
say no.
That's their way of showing love, isn't it? By giving you loads of food and drink.
Yeah, and it was emotional when we left. We basically we walked down to the end of this alleyway from where the house was, and there was a taxi waiting for us to go
Yeah.
to the airport. We got in a taxi, and literally, a grandma, like 2 aunties, one of the cousins, whatever, and they're all just there, just crying, like floods of tears. And I like that set G and brother's missus off,
Oh.
and like, I'm just feeling myself going. I'm like, get out of it.
Oh.
Just feel so guilty because you're going on to like these fancy countries and nice holidays, and they're just probably going back to just not doing a lot, to be honest. So
Yeah.
but no, we'll try and go back soon.
Yeah. It must have been nice for Harry as well. For them to see Harry as well.
Yeah, and he was actually really good with him. Like, he was playing with the granddad. He didn't show any sign of shyness at all.
Wow.
So yeah, they loved him. But then the
Wow,
next time they
man.
see him, he'll probably be like 6 years old. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
he'll probably be really shy and won't want to go near him. So
Yeah. Or on the iPad or playing
oh yeah,
Switch.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Oh.
But no, yeah, that was the trip. And then we came home to doom and gloom winter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit depressing, isn't it? When you come back from like heat and sun and light to this.
Yeah, because we landed at like 5:55 a.m. at Heathrow.
Yeah.
And then we're just like waiting for this cab driver. I've got my shorts on and a jumper. Oh. You can't come back in trousers because it's so bloody hot.
Spot the Brit.
Yeah, exactly. I've got really brown legs, no hoodie on. I'm driving the M25 in rush hour, like fuck my life.
Yeah. But hey, you're back now.
Yeah, but we made it. So that was Asia in a nutshell.
Nice. We were gonna continue on with the Asia chat. Rob did mention it briefly earlier about breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So in Hong Kong, right, when I went there, and to be honest, like I was a bit shocked because when we went to Hong Kong, we stayed in a hotel. They had loads of TV ads encouraging women to breastfeed, which you don't really openly see that here in the UK. I think you hear a lot about it, like when you go to like your midwife appointment, they're like, breast is best. Fuck off, it's not always. But you always get told by midwives and doctors, like, are you feeding on the boob? But anyways, they made it so obvious on TV to be like, oh, breastfeed's really good. I thought, whoa, that's intense. So I thought, cool, finally, great. This is a country that finally is forward. I can openly breastfeed in public. No, absolutely not, man. Like I tried it. I thought, okay, because in the UK, I'll just whack up my boob, fine. Put Lara on the boob, absolutely fine. I don't feel awkward because it's a normal thing. I'm feeding my child. She's having her lunch. When I did it in Hong Kong, we went to the shopping centre. There's quite a fancy shopping centre called Harbour City, and it's quite really bougie, like shops. Or there's designer shops. I mean, I don't really know my designer brands, but whatnot. You can imagine like LV and Gucci, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, can you imagine? Pro money, yeah. So we were in the sort of bookshop within the shopping centre, and Lara was kicking off. She needed a feed, and then I was about to whack my boob out, and then there were people sat around reading a book, and then these men started staring at me.
Oh, no.
I felt really just really uncomfortable. And so luckily I had because I prepared, I had a feeling like, Hong Kong isn't as forward thinking as I think it is. Had a breastfeeding cover. So I just put the cover over me and then I felt a bit more settled. But it's just weird. I just thought the government are, trying to promote this whole breastfeeding in public and stuff. But nah, man, it was just really weird. Like, the men were just like,
What, like 2 inches away from Lara, like,
was
what's going on?
no, can you imagine like that? I mean, it was like at least like arm's length to the point. I'm like,
Still an awkward distance, though, isn't it?
yeah. And if I'm uncomfortable, then Lara will obviously feel it. It's like, well, mummy, what are you doing? Why are you like moving around? So it just wasn't that pleasant. So based on that sort of first try of trying to feed in public, I'm like, nah, I got to put the cover on every time. And then a few other times, we were outside these quite bougie sort of places. I don't know why we went, but my sister really likes sort of designer bags. So obviously followed. And then the moment where I thought, do you know what, I can't be doing this breastfeeding cover because it's quite hot as well. I can't keep on doing it for me and for Lara. It's not comfortable. So I fed outside. It was like an outside bit, and it was right outside Gucci. So I fed outside Gucci. I thought, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
This is the place to feed. And no one looked, so that was fine. I think maybe because I wasn't looking, so I didn't give a shit about what people were looking. If they were looking, I didn't notice.
Yeah, maybe you secretly had like a crowd of like 10 blokes behind you.
Yeah, probably. But I just thought, if I want to breastfeed my child, I should just do it comfortably. Otherwise, she will feed it. And the other times, like, because we had to go back to sort out our ID stuff, and Lara obviously needed a feed, so I fed her at the immigration office. God, that was awkward because like when you're in a waiting room and there's loads of people, and I ended up just sat next to someone as I was feeding, and then loads of like people walking past, and they were staring at me, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna carry on.
I bet there's some dodgy characters in that immigration office as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I try not to look around. I just look down at Lara, carrying on feeding her. The annoying thing is sometimes, like with Lara, she's at the age where any sort of noise or anything like that triggers her to kind of stop feeding, she'll look up. So my boob will be out in the open. The nip is out. I'm like, come on, Lara, just carry on feeding. It's like, my nip is like.
And if they don't see Lara initially, I just think there's a woman there with a tit out. Get arrested now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, quite happy. That happens a few times, but whatever. Needs must in it. But I think the thing that impressed me the most that you don't get in the UK is like, do you know when you have to change like Harry's nappy? Like you go into, for example, IKEA. It's really rank. It stinks. It's dirty. It's cramped. But I went into, again, it was this shopping centre, Harbour City. I went trying to find the sort of the changing room, and it's quite clear they have like actual signs for where you can actually change a baby. Went inside. It was a massive room. I was like, where is this place? And there was a lady cleaning at the same time. I'm like, it's spotless. Like, it smelled great. It smelled of flowers. There were like 6 different sort of changing tables. In the middle was a massive area where you can park your buggy, strollers, whatever. And then they have 3 separate like nursing rooms. I was like, this is amazing. Like, you don't get that in the UK. It's just you get like a shitty nappy on the floor and it stinks.
Yeah, skin marks on the tray. Put it down.
Yeah.
Like a
proper rank. Yeah. So yeah, that was really impressive. But it's just breastfeeding in general. It was very awkward. So I wouldn't want to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, if it's okay over here, the majority of the time you're going to be doing it here anyway. So these things are a bit taboo abroad, aren't they? Still.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you like for you if you saw a woman breastfeed as a man? What do you look away? Do you think it's normal? You look away.
I'm not going to stare at it. No, you feel a bit awkward, especially.
Do you feel awkward?
Yeah, you do.
You feel awkward.
I think any guy would feel awkward. Not that we feel like it's a bad thing. It's just you just don't know where to look almost because it's like one, it's a kid sucking a tit, so you're a bit like, okay, don't show any just don't look anywhere near it in case you get accused of something. and two, it's just like it's a private thing, so you don't want to look at it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a woman's thing, it's not a bloke's thing.
Yeah.
And when you go to things like soft play and they say Harry to it, all these children's things, and you see women doing it, because not many blokes go to these things. So when you do see it, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna edge away a bit and pretend I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most blokes will attest to that. If it's your own missus, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it's true. I guess I didn't see it from that point of view. I'm always just like, well, it's natural. But yeah, it's not natural for a man to look at like a strange woman's tit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like I don't know. You just know some weirdo would probably be like, he likes it. No, moving away from this situation now.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you ever been in a situation where you've caught eyes with a woman breastfeeding?
I don't think so. I hope not. Because normally they're looking down, aren't they? So they're kind of like,
Yeah.
this fear. I'm just accidentally catching it up, and she's glaring at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, nightmare.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Swerve that situation if possible.
Oh, I guess you didn't really experience that when you were traveling. You didn't see any women breastfeeding in public, right?
Oh, actually, the woman who sat next to us on the plane did.
Ah.
And that was one of those where I'm like, okay, look away. Because you know what's going on. So you're just like, all right, just adjust the screen a bit, pretend I'm searching for a film.
Look at our phone, even though there's no Wi-Fi.
I'm just going to play some pool on my phone.
So you were sat right next to her?
Nah, so it was me, Cheech, then a space, then her. So it wasn't
Yeah.
too bad. She had no idea that I was in the peripheral. But yeah, it's just it'll forever be awkward. I think even as a kid, it's a bit like, oh, what's that? And you get to like teens and above, you're like, okay, we know what that is now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not awkward because I imagine if you're even older, people just think you're some pervy old man. So it's even worse. So
that's true. Yeah,
or you're judging or something. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, that was my experience of trying to feed in Asia. Yeah, not comfortable. They're not there yet.
Nah. Yeah, very what's the word? Reserved.
Yeah, very reserved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that concludes this week's episode.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed that one. Nice little trip to Asia, followed by talking about breastfeeding, as you do.
Talking about tits.
Yeah. But if you have any thoughts on that, let us know. Any questions, comments, we'd be delighted to hear from you. But yeah, we will see you for the next episode. We will see you next Thursday. Au revoir.
Bye.